Hi everyone! Thanks for joining me for my 2020 bullet journal flip through. Hope you're comfortable and have a cup of tea or something because I have so much to share in this video. I expect you're already hearing and thinking about how crazy or difficult this year has been. For me, that's exactly why bullet journaling has been even more valuable. Using my journal for reflection and mindfulness has really helped me stay present and enjoy the simple things this year. And I think that's really the best way to get through a year like this one, and I'll share all of that with you in this video. I went through 2 Archer and Olive notebooks this year, which I truly enjoyed using. The first one was 192 pages and took me through to September. I'll start with this one. I started my 2020 journal with my future log. As you can see, there aren't many events or tasks in my future log for this year. Usually I use it to jot down future dated events and tasks before I've set up for the month that they fall into. But this year I really wasn't planning ahead at all. When you're hit with unexpected lockdowns and tiered systems telling you what you can and can't do, I feel it's better to just take each day as it comes. Here I have my annual mood and wellness trackers. I love seeing an annual overview of these because then I can spot patterns easily and reference it easily in relation to other ad hoc trackers. It's interesting to see that there's so much purple, which means content and happy. I remember facing different challenges throughout the year. It's all been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, and I'm just glad that through it all I was able to maintain a stable mood on the whole, which is what I'm usually looking for in my tracker. There are obvious months that look a bit different, and I know exactly the reason why. February was up and down because it was a difficult time in the job that I was in, and I had a period of sick leave, and then from March onwards I'd started forming an idea about what I was going to do and really started embracing and enjoying the simple things. November wasn't coloured in at all because I just got really busy and overwhelmed at times in November, and I expect there would have been a few different colours in November if I had kept up with my tracker. And then in December, I had to just drop things that I was working on and homeschool my son because his year group were sent home for the rest of the year and were instructed to self-isolate. So I had to just slow down and go with it, and the purples came back again. One final point on the mood tracker is how I decide which moods to put in. You experience different moods throughout the day. I might be tired, unhappy, and frustrated at different points in the day. But if when I sit down with my journal in the evening and look back on my day, I see that I was still happy overall, I'll colour it in happy. On some of the days though, you can see that tiredness overpowered unhappiness, so I coloured those in orange for tired or pink for unsettled. Anyway, I thought it might be helpful to go into a bit of detail in case you had any questions about the purpose of tracking mood. And I guess for me it's basically a happiness tracker. And I like to use my journal for reflection and mindfulness to maintain a stable mood internally, regardless of what happens externally. Right, we have my wellness tracker next, where I track my exercise. I can see at a glance that I tried to do a few things each month, and different things worked for me at different times. I have my goals that I set up at the beginning of the year, which I split into categories. Some of them changed throughout the year, so I captured those changes in a mid-year check-in spread that I did in June. My book tracker, the goal was to read 25 books this year, which I met. Some years I read closer to 50 books, but I knew this would be more of a reasonable goal this year. These are the new films I watched this year. I wrote up my ideal habits at the beginning of the year to remind myself of all the good morning, evening, weekly and daily habits that I want to maintain. I don't track habits vigorously, but some months I turn these into trackers when I feel like I really need to. This was a useful spread for reflecting on what I wanted to do more or less of in 2020 and what I wanted to continue. It really helps to start the year off being aware of your intentions. Monthly bills and wish list, which I clearly didn't need to set up because I didn't use it. Places visited is of course empty this year. We usually have lots of travel plans and enjoy going to new places, but that didn't happen this year. If you're a regular viewer of my videos, you'll have already seen me use my monthly moments spread. I update this in the monthly planning videos at the end of each month. This has been great for looking back on each month and capturing any favourite moments, milestones or simple pleasures, whether it's my daughter being potty trained or a box set on Netflix that I enjoyed, or getting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Everything goes on there, big or small. Then we have January, and you can see the whole month of January escaped me. I didn't have any monthly or weekly spreads at all, and I then just did this January in review spread at the end of the month. This is really nice to see, so I'd like to do more of these reviews with photos in 2021. Then we go into February. I really like this simple pink and black theme. It feels quite calming to look at. I experiment with styles quite a bit in this journal, which you'll see. I liked capturing quotes from the books that I was reading each month. So come to think of it, I want to do more of that too. It's nice to see your favourite quotes again from books that you've read instead of just forgetting them. March was an exciting month. This is when I set up my YouTube channel and shared my journal with the world for the first time. And I did a book theme because I was enjoying reading so much. I think my reading goal was entirely met in the first half of the year. Let me know in the comments, by the way, which theme is your favourite once you've seen them all. March was also the first month that I did my simple things list to capture all of the simple pleasures to enjoy related to the month or the season. I'm really pleased that you all enjoy these simple things lists so much. They feel really good to do, and I think they make a really big contribution to maintaining those happiness levels that I talked about earlier. I needed to create this video checklist for myself to help me create videos that were of the quality that I wanted. And because I was learning so much at once, I had to write down really basic reminders like make sure the tripod is stable because it's the worst when you're watching a video and the camera shakes, or to set the white balance every time so you don't see constant colour changes throughout, which you'll see in my very first video that I published on YouTube. And then we were hit with the pandemic. I captured a few key points here at the very beginning to get my head around it all, like habits to start focusing on at home, reminding the kids to sing the full ABC song while washing their hands, and I started capturing things we can enjoy at home as well. And related to that, I went with a lotus flower theme for April because lotus flowers symbolise overcoming darkness and moving into the light. With the change of routine that came with lockdown, I started changing up my weekly spreads a bit more. I had tasks on one side, and then I captured what we did that week, a quick check-in, mental, emotional, physical, and some tasks to transfer over to the following week. I like capturing what I learn from books, and this was a really important book about staying calm, finding peace, and being present. I've applied all of this to my life, and it's helped so much. I have a separate video on it and a blog post over on my website if you're interested in that, but this is a spread I did to capture all of it so I can easily glance at it if I need reminding. And if you're interested in stuff like this, then feel free to sign up to my weekly newsletter as well over on my website. I'll link it in the description box below. My YouTube milestones. I read about how hard it is to grow on YouTube when you're starting at 0, so I thought I'd set a goal of 800 subscribers by the end of 2020. I then ended up adding 1,000 at the bottom in August because that's when I actually hit 1,000, so I exceeded my expectations, which I'm really happy about. Still in full lockdown here, so I did some more pandemic-related spreads. I'm not sure how much my kids will remember, but I'm pretty sure they won't believe me when I tell them this at all. Here's my proof. This opportunities list is one of my favourites to do at difficult times when there's a lot that's out of your control. On one side is listed what we can't do anymore, like eating out, taking the kids to nursery, going on holiday. And on the other side, it's what you can do instead, like try out new recipes at home instead, or do some morning yoga with the kids since we don't have to rush out for the school run. Doing spreads like this is really calming and can really help direct your focus to maintain a level of happiness internally. There were some good things that happened during lockdown, so again, this is just a reminder that it's not all bad. Things like family meals since we weren't in the office, journaling more or baking with the kids. I also captured things I wanted to improve as well, because at this point there wasn't really an end in sight. Identifying what is and isn't in my control is just another really calming spread to do. This one is a really good one to reconnect with yourself, capturing the things that you've either done or can do for your mind, body, and soul. I decided to experiment with watercolour crayons here, which was really fun. I was really missing the mountains and hiking and beautiful pink and purple skies, and so I often use my journal themes to enjoy these things instead. I wasn't getting much sleep at the time, so I did a list of things I can do when I'm tired instead of just writing off the day. Then we have my first Dutch door that I've ever done. I have to admit, I'm not a fan. I changed up the weekly layouts again to suit my needs. I started doing the List With Me challenges on Instagram, 20 in 2020 I think it was called. Prompts like this can really challenge you to think about things that you wouldn't normally think about, and making yourself do it and committing it to paper can be really valuable, especially something like 20 things I like about myself, which is a really, really difficult list to write about yourself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 goals from Ryder Carroll's book, The Bullet Journal Method. I have a whole video explaining how to do one of these if you're interested. The mid-year check-in. It was a good time to revisit goals to see what's on track, what's changed, and what isn't on track. And this really helped direct my focus for the rest of the year. I also captured how I was feeling at this point and opportunities for the second half of the year, potential risks or threats, and things that I was proud of as well. This was a really good spread to do. The purple wildflower theme. Again, this was representative of my life at the time. Me and the kids were constantly seeing purple wildflowers everywhere on our daily walks, which has now become a fond memory from the year. "30 Better Days" is a list of the tiny things you can do each day to try and make tomorrow better. This was a really popular list on Instagram. Some theme ideas for August. I had quite a few ideas in August, so I shared this on Instagram and asked for some help choosing. This was another List With Me challenge prompt, 20 favourite things about summer. This really gets you in the mood for the season and you just feel really appreciative of the tiny things. It was really fun doing this one. I then got these Archer and Olive notepads with dotted black paper and craft paper, so I tested those out with the next few spreads. They really changed the look and feel of my journal, I think. Let me know what you think of the change in style. Oh, and I have a whole video dedicated to how I chose my affirmations and how to write your own. I tried another Dutch door. This one's a bit better. A nice spread here about what kindness means to me. A reminder of what the important things are, like kind words and thoughts, not judging, not imposing, acting with compassion, and how buying gifts and remembering birthdays don't really mean anything in the absence of basic kindness. It just reminds me of being a teenager and meeting people at school who did thoughtful things and bought thoughtful gifts, never missed a birthday, but then they would say and do things that are really upsetting or crush your soul, which just always reminded me not to get drawn in by things like that, and it's more important to have people in your life that are kind and compassionate from within. August was a very popular theme, vintage modern, for those who have an appreciation for the old and the new. This is actually an interior design style for homes, which I tried to bring into my journal. Another good 20 in 2020 List With Me challenge prompt, 20 elements of my perfect week. This is when I started having fun with acrylograph pens. I'm really surprised by how much I enjoyed using these pens. I definitely need some more colours. I was still testing out the pens here in different styles and ended up with a spare spot for a list, which I'll use for something now that I've seen it. And the final spread in this book is when I reached 1,000 followers on Instagram. At the back, I have a quick migration spread when I was deciding on how to set up my second bullet journal for the year. On to my second notebook for the year. I went for 160 pages and I got this from Archer and Olive, and it lasted me from September to December. I migrated some goals over to this one, and I used my mid-year check-in spread to help me split them into two categories. Things that I wanted to focus on for the rest of the year. So these would have been the goals that weren't on track at mid-year or still needed work. And then there were the ones that were on track and I just wanted to continue and maintain. The journal purpose spread was a really helpful reminder to have at the start of my journal to remember my reasons for journaling. Sometimes you can get confused or overwhelmed by all of the content that's out there and the different ways that people journal. But when I look at this, I immediately remember that I like to do spreads that help me be more intentional with my time or help me add meaning to each day. And there's also things on there like help me bridge the gaps between goals and tasks, record memories and moments, encourage good habits. I also needed a reminder of my preferred styles so I can remember these for my themes, colours that I was enjoying and things that I was seeing and wanted to try out. I talk about all of these spreads a lot more in my moving to a new journal video, but these are just my monthly reset checklists, weekly reset checklist and daily reset checklist. At this point, I realised I was drawn to simple designs with lots of white space, so my September theme was simple line drawings and a reminder that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. These Archer and Olive acrylograph pens were really good for creating blocks of colour. I really enjoyed this theme. If you want to buy any acrylograph pens, by the way, you can get 10% off if you use my code Raksha10 on anything at Archer and Olive. I ended up using words in my gratitude log for some of the spreads. I find it's useful to mix it up sometimes and keep it interesting for yourself. And it's really good to push yourself to keep doing the gratitude log because it's easy to give up and you might just think, I can't think of anything different. But that's when it really starts to pay off, when you push yourself to think beyond the obvious things to be grateful for. In September, I did a daily routine spread as well, because my son was starting school and my daughter went back to nursery a few days a week. So it was helpful for those days to see blocks of time. So I can easily see I can have me time there, productivity time there, meal times, kid times. So I'd know that at this time I'm completely focused on the kids and not distracted by anything else. And I can easily see that these are my only opportunities for productivity for my own business. So I didn't want to miss those opportunities because I wouldn't get them again until the following week in some cases. So it was really good to see it laid out like that. This is the things I love about autumn. Again, just really getting in the mood for the season. This is the Wheel of Life spread, assessing the balance in my life. I know I keep saying this, but there's a whole video dedicated to this where I talk about how it works and how you score yourself in each area of your life and set intentions based on your current and ideal points on the graph. I'll link the stencil in the description box below because it's a really useful one as well. The spellbook theme, this might be my favourite, just because I really enjoyed researching spellbooks. And I felt that this came together really nicely. The contrast between the black and the white and the craft paper, and I feel like the gold border just ties it all together nicely. I had so much fun writing this self-care spell, and everyone seemed to really like it on Instagram as well. And this was my first mood board. It was a really nice way of visualising what I wanted from the month. Things like cosy vibes, crunchy leaves, books, cups of tea, fat socks. The next couple of weeks were half term, so kids were home, and it worked out better to just have a to-do list on the one side and another section for tasks to move over to the next week. And on the following week, the last week of half term, I only made it to Monday and Tuesday with daily to-do lists and then just did some freestyle journaling to capture what we were up to. This is another book review spread, And the book was called Make Time, and I captured all the key points here, which is going to be really useful to look back on because it's so easy to forget some of the important points you read about. So I've got that all here in this spread. And then I was monetized on YouTube, so I had to include that here. Then we have my cozy candle theme for November. I created a new stencil for my spreads and added it to my Etsy shop, and this ended up being a really useful one as well because I used it for my simple things lists, and I do every month now, and I used it for a currently in November spread where I put in what I was reading, learning, thinking, enjoying and watching. And since the theme was light, I did a list on how to light up your life, and this one gave me so many ideas on how I could light up my life. And so I put it all together and I published a blog post on that as well. My brain dumps are usually focused on a particular category, so this was just a list of ideas for my newsletter and a list of ideas for my blog. And these are the useful spreads that I shared in my video about Stoicism and spreads that you can do to make you feel happier and more aligned. I often need to dip into my cookie jar to find some strength every now and then. This one's really interesting, and I wrote a bit more about this in one of my weekly newsletters actually. It's looking at core happiness and pleasures and knowing the difference. So you know that these things will give you temporary happiness and you can't rely on those things to make you entirely happy. But you can use these pleasures and that temporary happiness to create a chain reaction of positive behaviours to help you do the things that give you core happiness. And it's really important knowing the difference between what makes your core happy and what gives you pleasure. Then we have my Kaizen lists, again from the 5 lists video series. And this one was focused on productivity and embracing small steps. So these are some really useful spreads. And then we've come to the end of the year where we have the year-end reflection spread, capturing triumphs and refinements. And these are the things that went well or made me really happy. And these are the things I want to improve or tweak. And like I keep saying, there's a whole video dedicated to this process as well. Must have missed a page. Need to make use of that. December, a simple, sparkly Christmas theme. This looks really nice in real life. I don't know if the photos or the video footage does it justice because there might not be enough contrast between the gold and the white, but it looks really elegant. And then I have some space for the rest of my weeklies in December. And then I did a little birthday check-in on my birthday on the 10th of December. And instead of a birthday card, my husband decided to give me a birthday letter on a piece of A5 card, which is actually perfect for me because it's the messages in cards that I like best, and I don't need the actual cards themselves. So instead of having to store birthday cards every year or feel guilty about throwing them out, this can just go straight in my journal, which I'll enjoy seeing when I look back through this. And this is where I'm up to now. I have some space for some more spreads. I usually like to do some year-end spreads, so I'll share whatever I do over on Instagram. If you follow me on there, you'll see those. Thank you so much for staying till the end if you made it this far. Have a lovely Christmas and New Year, albeit a quiet one this year, and I'll see you in my next video.